Guys, I hope everybody's doing okay. I just got done with a huge session on the new Sonic Generations, the Shadows version of it. I played like the Shadows section and I actually played a little bit of the Sonic section as well, just to remind myself how the game used to be. I actually don't really buy Sonic games anymore in this day and age for reasons I will get into in a little bit, but I kind of wanted to just let you guys know what I thought about this release. The reason I did pick it up is because I got it a little bit cheaper than the price that they're actually asking for, because I've got it right now, the digital deluxe version, which has a little bit of early access. It's not officially out until the 25th. But yeah, I've been playing it today and I kind of wanted to let you guys know what I thought about it. So I actually started off playing the game with the Shadows section instead of the actual Sonic section, because the Shadows part is brand new entirely, alright? So there's two parts of the game and you can choose it at the start, kind of like choosing between two games. And guys, I'm going to keep it real with you right now. I actually think the Shadows section of the game is horrible. I think the game's bad. I'm going to keep it as real as possible here. I don't want to like waste anyone's time. You know, but like I say before, I don't really buy Sonic games in this day and age purely because I don't really think they're that good anymore, and I'll admit that right up front. I never bought Sonic Frontiers, I never bought Sonic Superstars was the last one, because I actually believe that when you like look at a Sonic game, you can actually tell if it's good or bad. It's just one of those... It's one of those like CDs where you can not really disguise that it's actually bad, in my opinion. So like all the trailers that were coming out before really weren't doing anything for me. Like I said, I just picked it up because it's relatively cheap for me, and I thought I would just take a bash at it and see if there was anything that I would like about it. Now, I actually did go in with like expectations that I would maybe like it because it's like new, everyone's feeling relatively excited, the Sonic community gets pretty hype when any new Sonic thing gets announced, and I'll be honest, I kind of got swept away with them a little bit, like, hey, you know, people talk about Generations actually being a relatively good Sonic game, you know, one of the more better 3D ones, people say, but back in the day, I didn't really share this opinion with Sonic Generations in the first place. And it really feels like it's carried forward with the Shadow part that they've just made that's brand new for the game. Honestly, as soon as I turned it on, I just knew I wasn't digging it within like the first couple of levels, because I don't know what the fascination is with like modern day Sonic and just going as fast as possible and getting to the end of the level and getting the highest rank you can. I don't know who that's made for, because I genuinely don't think like that is the be all end all of Sonic games at all. Like I was never somebody that was fascinated with getting S ranks and A ranks in old school Sonic games, or even like the Sonic Adventure games or anything like that. I didn't care, you know, like what matters to me is fun first and foremost, you know, so I always found it more fun like exploring the levels and looking at the environments and being sucked in, and the fact that you could play with a multitude of Sonic friends in his games. That was one of the more better parts of the games for me that I feel like they lost over the years. When it comes to the Shadow section of the game, it just honestly feels like you're going from A to B within a couple of minutes and you're rewarded with a rank at the end, and that is it. And it feels like meaningless to me. The levels feel like there's absolutely nothing going on. And it took me about 4 hours, just over 4 hours, to like complete the Shadow section, and I've genuinely got nothing good to say about it. I think like the music wasn't really that memorable either for the Shadow section. As far as I'm concerned, there's genuinely nothing good about the Shadow section whatsoever. I just couldn't wait to get it over with. I almost didn't even want to play any of the Sonic section just because of how bad an experience I had with the Shadow section. Now, I'm not somebody to sit here and say like I'm a good player of Sonic games or anything. Like I said earlier, it's nothing to do with that. I don't care about dying. I don't care about getting S ranks and all that stuff. I hated the fact that the challenge modes as well are like a requirement to do them, but it felt like more fluff to me, just like get a bunch of rings and finish the level and then you get rewarded with another grade. It's just, that was all it was. And that was something I never cared about in previous Sonic games ever, that I had a lot of fun in. I never cared about grades or anything like that. But like this kind of game forces you to care about it or something, because there's really nothing else going on in it. And even then, like the overworld has like a bunch of little things to do, like collect 100 rings here and there. I just went by everything. I found the overworld no even fun to explore. I couldn't wait just to get to the next level and actually partake in the next level to see if it was actually going to be a good one. But it wasn't. Anyway, I managed to turn on some of the Sonic section, and I'm glad I did, because at least it was a bit of a cleanser for the choreographed nonsense that I'd just experienced for the past 4 hours. At least the original Sonic Generations has a few good levels in it. As far as I'm concerned, the game does kind of deteriorate over time. I never actually finished it all the way through because, like I said before, I never really found Generations that amazing anyway. As far as I'm concerned, like back in the day, Sega kind of pulled a trick on everybody back in the day, and I remember they released the original Green Hill Zone as a demo for Sonic Generations, and it was a bit of a bait because that level is very well done and a recreation of the original Green Hill Zone, and it's really well done. It's got great music, it's got great platforming, and obviously there's nostalgia there for everybody, but a lot of people played that demo and genuinely found the game interesting, myself included, and I couldn't wait to get Generations back in the day. Now, there is a few levels in the game that are somewhat fun to play. I'm not saying there isn't, but I always felt like Generations just slowly declines as it goes on after a few levels. The first ones are okay, but like I say, I'm no somebody that cares too much about doing challenge modes here and there. There's no a bunch of characters to play as in Generations, there's really only Sonic, and one of my favourite things about Sonic overall is playing with his friends. Like Sonic 3 and Knuckles is one of my favourite ones of the bunch. You can play as Knuckles, you can play as Tails. The Sonic Origins collection lets you play as Amy, and some of them have like different levels through those, and obviously Sonic Adventure as well. You can play as a bunch of his friends in Sonic Adventure 2. There's so many Sonic games where you can play as his friends, and those are like my favourite ones as well overall. But when it comes to like Generations, you're really just playing as Sonic, and I feel like, you know, just playing as Sonic alone can get boring, and Generations suffers from that problem. As far as I'm concerned, it also suffers from bad replayability, unless you just like doing challenge stuff here and there, but as far as I'm concerned, that was never like the most fun part of Sonic anyway. Like, there's so much replayability in games like Sonic Adventure, Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. There's so much replayability in all those great games, and I feel like the worst games just kind of like come down to getting an S rank in every single level, and that is literally your replay value. I mean, if you do find unlocking things like concept art and all that to keep you going is fun, then more power to you. I was never one of those people. I feel like I'm kind of just sitting here ranting about modern day Sonic. I'll kind of like cut to the chase. It's like, at the end of the day, I don't buy Sonic games anymore because I don't think they're good, and I haven't believed that they are good for a long time. Like I say, you can tell a good Sonic game a mile away, or anyone who's played the series for a relatively long time, you'll be able to tell. The last one that was really good and even looked good was Sonic Mania, and we've not had a sequel to that for whatever reason. Maybe it's because Sega didn't actually make it themselves, I don't know. Maybe they can't admit that 2D games is like better than what they've made over the past decade plus. Who knows what it is. But the reason I picked up Generations again is because the community led me to believe that the Generations game is better than what I originally thought it was. And no, I think it's exactly what I thought it was, and that is mid at best. The problem with Generations is that it came out after some pretty bad Sonic games, so it can fool you into thinking it's like a really good Sonic game. That's just my opinion. But I have higher standards for Sonic, and ever since he's not been able to meet those standards, I stopped buying his games. As far as I'm concerned, the soul of Sega kind of died after the Sega Dreamcast, and along with it, so did their mascot, which is Sonic. We've not really had any amazing games made by Sega since, in my opinion. But hey, at least he's having some good movies here and there, so they're succeeding somewhere, you know. Guys, let me know what you thought about this Sonic X Shadow Generations. Do you actually think this game is all that? I've kind of said everything I need to say about it, and thank you to anybody who watched. I hope it didn't come off as too ranty, but I just think people should be aware that I think the game is mid at best for a Sonic game, but it could please some kids here and there, and I think that is probably who it will please the most. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.